Hello, everyone. This is Benjamin from English Classes Online. You are all welcome to the masterclass. Tonight, I'll be sharing with you some top tips on how to write an essay on any topic. We are mindful of the fact that most of our viewers and subscribers will be sitting one English exam or the other in a short while to come. So we have decided to give our support in this little way. To start with, why are we discussing essay writing, or why is essay writing important in an English exam? So that's a very important question to begin with. We have chosen to discuss essay writing because essay writing carries the highest marks in most English exams. In the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, for example, essay writing carries 50 marks, all right? And in other equivalent exams, essay writing carries very high marks as well. So most of the time, students who fail English language fail because they are unable to write a good essay. If you are able to write a good essay and score perhaps 40 marks or even 30 marks, you can see that that has actually given you a big boost. So that's why we are, looking at essay writing so that if you are able to follow the tips, if you're able to apply the tips we are going to share tonight, that might be very helpful to you, and that might actually boost your chances of scoring high in your upcoming English exam. So, first of all, those of you who might have joined, I would like you to indicate your presence on the chat box. And if you have any questions or any comments, you are also free to type them on the chat box. So I welcome all of you once again. I will be diving into the lesson shortly because I intend to do it within a very short time. We have a lot that we are going to cover, but we are going to do that within a short frame of time so that it won't take much of your time. Having said that, let's begin, and then those who join will, of course, be part of it. So without much ado, let's actually dive into the lesson. Now, having said that, let's begin by taking a quick look. I want to share my screen so that you will be able to gain more, through the audiovisual experience. You'll be able to see what I am talking about on the screen, and you will also hear my explanation. So tonight we want to look at how to write an essay on any topic in your English exam, and we are going to share some simple steps and show you some sample essays as well. All right. Now, in fact, what I'm going to share with you tonight is one of the simplest and one of the easiest, you know, techniques, essay writing techniques. And it's so easy that anyone can apply it. So I want you to be part of it and see how, if possible, take some notes and help yourself. Okay. Now, having said that, let's now uh, take a quick look at the agenda for tonight's episode. We have ABC agenda. The items are ABC. A is know the steps. You need to know the steps to take. In anything you do, if you know the steps to take and you are able to take those steps, you are going to achieve your goal. So the first thing we are going to look at will be the simple steps you need to take in order to write an essay on any topic, all right, in your English exam. And B is to know the structure of an essay. Every essay or every piece of writing has a definite structure. And we are going to look at those parts that are common to every essay that you can think of. And then with this, you can get started, all right? Now, let's begin with knowing the steps. Uh, Writing an essay consists of three main simple steps. Step one is pre-writing, and that is the stage at which you prepare, you plan. You know, there is this saying that, you know, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. To build a good house, you need to first come up with the drawing plan. And the same thing applies to writing. Now, most students who write a bad essay or an essay that, you know, that doesn't score them any marks at all is because they fail to plan. So I'm going to show you the pre-writing. It's very simple. It's not a complicated something. All what I'm going to discuss with you tonight will be very simple. I intend to simplify it as much as possible so that it will be an actionable step that anyone can apply. So pre-writing is step one, writing is step two, and rewriting is step three. So in other words, the steps are simple. Pre-write, write, and rewrite. And I will explain these simple steps, all right? Now, let's go a little bit into the details of each step or each stage, all right? Now, pre-writing has to do with selecting a topic, knowing who you are writing for his or her consumption. That is your audience and the purpose of the writing and gathering ideas and organizing information, creating an outline. Well, don't get confused at this stage. For the purpose of your English exam, I don't want to bore you with these details. The simple thing that the pre-writing stage consists of is simply for you to go through the questions. You know, for example, in the senior school certificate examination, whether WAEC or NECO or any of them, you are given a number of essay writing questions and you are given the privilege to choose only one. In the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, for example, you are given about 5 essay writing questions: letter writing, speech writing, article writing, story writing, and so on and so forth. And you have to pick only one. So the pre-writing step that you must take when you are writing an essay in an English exam of that nature is for you to go through the essay writing questions and first of all, pick the topic that you are familiar with. You don't have to choose a topic that is strange to you, that you cannot discuss. Don't choose a topic because it may appear to be popular. No, pick a topic because you can discuss it. You have something you can write about it. All right. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing, once you have chosen the topic, then think about the topic. This is what we call brainstorming. Just give it a thought. And as you think about the topic, what am I going to write on this topic? The ideas will naturally come flowing into your mind because you have a lot of information stored up in your subconscious mind. And your mind is a computer of sorts uh, in which a lot of information is stored, you know, and at the time you need this information, you open the system by simply thinking. Thinking is what opens the door of your mind anytime you want to retrieve some information. So just focus your mind on the topic and the ideas will come flowing. And as the ideas come flowing naturally into your mind, you jot them down. In an exam, you are not allowed to come in with any rough sheet of paper. So your answer booklet or your answer sheet, you are allowed to use a page within that answer sheet, preferably the last page. Use it as a rough sheet and jot down the points, after which you cancel it out neatly. That is permitted, all right? Now, that is all that is required for the pre-writing stage. Think about the topic, having chosen it, then jot down the main idea, the key points that you are going to use in writing. Now, this is very important. If you ignore this pre-writing stage and jump into writing, then you may get to a point where your mind goes blank. You don't know what next to write. And sometimes you might be tempted to cancel what you have started writing, and then you start all over. You get confused. So a lot of students fail because of this, because they ignore the pre-writing stage, all right? Now, the writing stage has to do with, first draft has to do with, if you are writing a novel or if you are writing anything outside the exam hall. I don't want you to think about the writing stage in the exam hall as a first draft. You don't have any time to, think about first draft, second draft. Once you are writing, write. If you are writing a letter, write a letter. By the way, you have already done the pre-writing, so you just go straight and write. Write and write well, all right? If you are writing a story, write. If you are writing a speech, write. If you are writing an article, write. But this is the stage at which you must know the structure of the essay you are writing. If you are writing a letter, you begin with your address, the writer's address and date, followed by salutation if it is an informal letter. If it is a formal letter, then you have to write the official title of the receiver, or what we call official designation, and address, followed by the title or the topic. All right, that's for a formal letter. In an informal letter, you don't need all that. After your date, after your address and date, you go straight to write the salutation. If you are writing an article, then of course you have to write the title or the headline. And so you need to know what exactly you are writing. And at this point, you write, okay? Then rewriting in the exam hall simply means to cross-check what you have written and correct any mistakes you may have made, spelling mistake, grammatical mistakes, omissions, whatever. You correct them. Make sure you manage your time so that you have a little time to cross-check your work, because every error you commit in your written work you are losing half a mark. So taking time to cross-check your work is very important. Now, let's now move on. Uh, Knowing the structure of an essay is also very important because that is what enables you to write. Three main sections are common to every essay, every piece of writing, and that is the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. All right. Now, these are three parts that are common to every essay. And if you look at it, your introduction is your first paragraph. All right. Followed by the body of the essay, which of course begins in paragraph 2 and might extend to paragraph 4, depending on how many key points you are going to discuss in the body of your essay. So whether you are writing a letter or writing an article or writing a story, of course, the body of your essay will be organized into paragraphs. And it is ideal for you to write at least 3 paragraphs in the body of your essay. Paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and paragraph 4 could form the body of your essay. And then the conclusion will be the last paragraph, probably paragraph 5. If you use paragraph 1 for introduction, and then you use paragraph 2, 3, and 4 as the body of your essay, then paragraph 5 naturally becomes the concluding paragraph. All right? Now, I'm not going into further details for want of time, but when I show you the process practically, I will comment more on, how you craft your introductory paragraph and how you organize your the body paragraphs and how you bring the entire essay to a beautiful conclusion. Now, let's move on. In most of these exams, such as the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, National Examinations Council, excuse me, Senior School Certificate Examination, or NAPTEP, or any other one, of course, there are some very likely topics. Letter writing, is a regular feature. And sometimes you have a formal letter, you ask to write a formal letter or an informal letter, and sometimes a semi-formal letter. Then an article features most of the time. Sometimes you are asked to write a debate, and present your arguments in form of a speech. So when we discuss debate writing, we also incorporate speech writing. And another thing that features is story writing. And sometimes, of course, you might be asked to write a report. So now, once you learn how to write some of these, forms of writing, then you are adequately prepared for your English exam because one of them is likely to feature. All right. So that is exactly for those of you who might be going to sit your IELTS exam. Now, English Classes Online now organizes IELTS tutorials, and we have an effective package for those who want to travel abroad and might want to gain admission in, foreign universities or colleges. They will be required to write a test, which is IELTS, International English Language uh, Testing System. Is globally accepted. All right. So if you are going for any IELTS test at any moment, you can actually contact English Classes Online, and you receive tutorials. We simplify our tutorials for every exam. All right. Now, having said that, I want us to now look at 2020 West African Senior School Certificate Examination English Language Theory questions. Section A is where you have essay questions, and I want you to look at these. We have 5 questions. All right, 5. We have 5 questions. You are asked to, to choose only one. Now, number one is your brother who is in the third year in another school has written to confide in you that he is about to stop schooling and go into business. Write to him advising him against his decision. This is one of the questions I'm going to show you, with illustration. Then the second one, write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper on the topic, the importance of promoting good reading habits in students. So I'm going to illustrate with questions 1 and 2. And then if you want, lectures on other topics, then you can browse through English Classes Online YouTube channel, and you will find a lot of video lessons that will show you how to write these other various types of essays. Now, the third question is, as the senior prefect of your school, write a letter to the principal pointing out at least 2 practices among students that should be discouraged and 2 habits that should be promoted among teachers. Now, you might be asking now, how do you know which one is a formal letter, which one is an informal letter? Now, take a look at question number 1. Your brother, who is in the third year in another school, has written to confide in you that he is about to stop schooling and go into business. Write to him advising him against his decision. Now, this letter is to be written to your brother. It is an informal letter because an informal letter is a letter you write to anyone with whom you share a personal relationship. It could be a biological relationship. It could be a social relationship, such as your friend, your classmate, and so on. That is an informal letter, all right? Now, look at the third one, the third question. As the senior prefect of your school, that is an official position. You are writing in your official, in your capacity as the senior prefect. That's an official position. And you are writing to the principal who occupies an official position. So a formal letter is a letter you write to someone who occupies an official position, to the principal of a school, to the vice chancellor of a university, to the president of a country, to the governor of a state, to the minister of a ministry, to the chairman of a local government area. Anybody who occupies an official position, if you are asked to write a letter to such a one, that is a formal letter. All right. So now, having said this, let's now look at question number 4. A new principal has been posted to your school. Write a speech. You will deliver at the welcome party organized for him, informing him about some problems faced by students. This is a speech. You are asked to write a speech. Then question number 5 is a story. Write a story that ends with the statement, I had never felt so embarrassed in my life. Now, there are a lot of story writing lessons that I have delivered, and you can find them on our YouTube channel. Now, for the purpose of this masterclass, we shall be looking at questions number 1 and 2. And so let's begin with number 1. Now, your brother, who is in the third year in another school, has written to confide in you that he is about to stop schooling and go into business. Now, we have already identified this as an informal letter. Then the next thing, which is part of your pre-writing step, is for you to think about what you have been asked to write. Okay, you are asked to advise him against his decision. What are you going to advise your brother? You'll be giving him at least 3 reasons why it is wrong for him to stop schooling, in his third year. Now, so think of that. It's just something that will come naturally. you just have to give it a thought, and these ideas will come flowing into your mind. For example, you may want to tell him the importance of education. You may want to tell him that if he stops in his third year, the 3 years he has spent in school are already wasted. You may want to tell him that your parents are going to feel bad, if he takes that decision. There are a whole lot of things you can tell him, by way of advice, giving him pieces of advice, just for him to reconsider that decision. Now, once these ideas come to your mind, jot them down. They will form part of your outline, okay? Now, let's proceed to see how you can write this. Now, the structure of the letter, don't, the way it appears on the screen here, something is disorganized in the process when I was uploading this to this streaming platform. But you have to understand that this, of course, is something that you need to. The block style is what you may use. Well, I didn't mean to use the indented style, but somehow this mistake has given you some idea of what I mean. There's an issue with the system, the way this was uploaded. All right. So now, what you need to do is to either use the block style or you use what we call the indented style. Let me try to get something that may help me to correct this. Okay, let me try and get something. Okay, yeah, that will enable me to write directly there if possible, so I can help you to correct something. So that will really be important. Just have some patience and I will see if this can be done. Okay. Well, I don't mean to download this right away, but let me see how I can get the one already on my computer. I'm looking for Zoom it. Yes, I think I can see it right away. So let me get it and see how I can show you, how to get your address quite correctly. Just stay with me a little while and let me correct this. Okay. Okay, so let's see if I get this, I'll be able to show you practically. Right? Yeah, just a little patience. Yes, I think we have it. So let me see. Okay, so here, you see, I want you to ignore this for a moment. And then I want to show you, if you are using the block style, all right, 20 Balogun Street. Use abbreviation, but it has to be the acceptable type of abbreviation. The block style means that everything will be on a vertical line, and so followed by Ikeja. All right. Now, watch the punctuation marks. There is a comma after the street. There is a comma after the major location, and then comes Lagos State, all right? And then full stop. When you come to the end of the address, you put a full stop, all right? And then what should come next is the date. And the date, if we are uh, using today's date, there are different ways you can write the date. You can probably write, uh, we are in June, you can just write June 6, 2022, and you put a full stop, all right? So this can be the address, okay? As an informal letter, it is also possible that you can use the indented style. And if you are using the indented style, all you need to do is to make sure that, sorry, is to make sure that you indent it, all right? That's all that is required. Let me just show you, okay? 20 Balogun Street. Okay, so then you skip, all right? You skip a space, and then you come with the next thing. Let's actually skip a whole space. So you write Ikeja here. Then you put a comma. And of course, again, you skip a space here and you write Lagos State. Now, this is how you can indent your address. Now, you should not make the mistake of indenting the date along with the address. That's the mistake most students make. What you indent is the address, not the date. So when you want to write the date, you know, align the date with the first letter in the first line of your address. All right. So here you are going to write June 6, 2022, full stop. So this is how to indent your address, okay? If you want to use the indented style. But this is only applicable to informal letters. If you are writing a formal letter, you have no business using the indented style. You use only the block style. I hope this is clear. Now, having looked at this, let's now look at how you write your letter. After your address, what comes next is the salutation. Well, let me remove the so that you won't get confused. Of course, this was disorganized, but you can see that the spacing is correct. So after the address and date, you go to the next line by the left-hand margin. And this is where you begin the salutation. Again, some students make a mistake of, you know, leaving a space before writing the salutation. That is wrong. Begin your salutation on the margin, all right? You can see the way it is here. Dear brother, you might say dear brother, or you might write dear John or dear Mark. You can call your brother, you can address him by his first name if that is what you want. You can as well address him as dear brother, okay? Now, having done that, then the first paragraph is where you introduce your message. You introduce it. Every piece of writing begins with an introduction, and introduction always comes in the first paragraph. Now, there are two acceptable practices. You may begin with exchange of pleasantries, which is what we have done here. Of course, it's acceptable to greet someone in an informal manner if you want to begin a discussion. Now, one thing about informal letter writing is that the tone of your writing should resemble your normal conversation. How you speak to someone in real life should not be different from how you write to them. All right. So now look at what we have done. You can ask some simple questions that you usually ask when you meet the person. How are you? Or when you are in a telephone conversation, how are you or how are you doing? Then it's been ages since I wrote to you. I have been so busy with schoolwork and domestic chores these days. There are no hard and fast rules as to what you need to write. You could come up with any expressions that are acceptable. They should be natural, conversational. All right. Then let's continue with this sample. Thank you for uh, filling that communication gap with your letter. Already your brother confided in you. It's possible he wrote you a letter because you are separated by distance and time. So it's possible he wrote you a letter and you are responding to it. So you can thank him for writing you. Then we continue. That was very thoughtful of you. However, I was worried when I read about your decision to stop schooling and go into business. You see, we have provided background information to this letter. You don't just start writing. There must be some background information. What your introductory paragraph should do is to provide the reader with the background information and to answer a definite question. Why is this letter necessary? Why should I read it? So this background information shows the reader why this letter is being written. It is meant to discuss an important issue, and then you give the background information. Now let's continue. Your desire to go into business is commendable, but I think the timing is completely wrong. You see, you have to always write from with reasoned ideas. That's really very important. You don't have to begin to harass your brother. You are supposed to discuss like an educated person, someone who is polite. Even though you might be rude to your brother, you are not expected to display that in your exam scripts. All right. Neither do I encourage you to be rude, even in real life. Education should make you a refined character, and this also should be reflected in your letter. Now let's continue. I would like to discuss some reasons why I strongly believe it is better for you to complete your secondary education before going into business. Now you have set the stage for the discussion. This letter is about advising him against that decision, and you are doing it very wisely. Now, your second paragraph is the beginning of the body of your letter, and here you discuss the first point in your outline. Now, in the pre-writing stage we earlier discussed, you have jotted down the points you want to discuss in the body of your letter. And when you come to the body of your letter, you pick the first point and you start writing, you start discussing it. How do you do it? You begin with a topic sentence. A topic sentence is most of the time an opening sentence. Sometimes some professionals reserve it to a logical point in the paragraph, but as one learning how to write, it is advisable for you to start each paragraph with a topic sentence. So it will be linear, it will be simple, it will be straightforward. All right. You mention the main idea you want to talk about, then you give evidence, you give supporting sentences to support what you have said. Now, listen and watch how we do it. Now, to start with, you are already in your third year, and this means that you have less than 2 years to complete your secondary education and obtain the senior school certificate. This is a cogent point, and this is the topic sentence. What you want to talk about here is just this idea, this key point you have mentioned. What we are saying in essence is that you don't want him to waste the whole of the 3 years he has already spent. He only has 2 years. He should have patience, and then he will complete his secondary education. That is an academic achievement, and then he will have his senior school certificate. Then he can go into business. That's a cogent point. Now, having written this topic sentence, you have to say a few more things to support what you have said, to drive the message home. That is how to write a paragraph. Now, let's look at how we have done it here. All right. The point I am trying to make here is that if you stop schooling at this point, you will forfeit the senior school certificate. You see, which is not advisable to do. You are cautioning him. If you stop at this point, you are not going to obtain your senior school certificate examination certificate, which you will need in future. Now, let's now drive the message home. This is very important in essay writing. When you raise a point, you must develop the point to a logical conclusion. All right? Now, look at what we are saying further. Consequently, the 3 years you've already spent at secondary school at the secondary school will be a complete waste of time and resources. That's the point you want to make. And this means, please, my brother, don't drop from school at this stage. It is wrong to do that. It is stupid to do that. All right. So you are giving him a picture, a clear picture of what you are saying, that he should not do that. You are advising him against that decision. Now, let's look at the next paragraph where we are going to discuss point number 2. Now, writing is about following the principle of paragraphing, and the principle of paragraphing presupposes that every paragraph should discuss only one main point. And this is what you need to do. All right. Now, let's go to the next paragraph. Moreover, you can see we are using a linker here. We are using a connective here. We have finished one point, and then we are starting another point and linking it to the first point. That's how you write beautifully. And then your paragraphs are interconnected, and then there is coherence, and that will win you maximum marks. All right. Now let's see how it is done. Moreover, it is obvious that daddy and mommy won't be happy to hear that all the resources they've invested in your secondary education will go down the drains just like that. That's another point you have raised, and it's a cogent point, and this is your topic sentence, and you can write just a sentence or two more to drive this message home. You raise a point, you support the point you have raised, and you are done with that paragraph. Now, let's look at how we support this topic sentence. You and I know full well the kind of heart attack your decision is going to cause both of them, especially mommy, who is already down with high blood pressure. Look at it. Wow. Now you are saying that now if he dares to go ahead with this decision, it might cause mommy a heart attack. And no sensible child will want to do something that will cause his or her mommy a heart attack. That's a cogent point. You have raised the point and you have driven the message home. This is how to write. Now let's go to the next paragraph, and we discuss our third point, and we will be done with our body, the body of our letter. Now, let's look at it. Finally, again, we are using a connective. When we started the body of the S of the letter, we began with to start with. When we went on to the next paragraph, we started with moreover, and now we are ending with finally. You see, these are connectives that will signal the beginning of a new idea and connect that new idea to the previous idea so that your essay or letter will have coherence. All right? That is how to write. Now, let's look at how we discuss the next paragraph. Finally, you will realize that you need the senior school certificates if you decide to go into politics in future. You are now bringing in the political angle. Who doesn't want to occupy a high position in society? And your brother might have that lofty dream. Now, let's now support this idea with other arguments or reasons. You must have read in the news how some of the politicians are being disqualified from running for certain political positions in our country because they lack the required academic qualification to vie for such offices. That's a cogent reason. You are now, you have opened a line of argument, and you are now taking it to a destination. Let's continue. It is possible that after becoming successful in your business, you may decide to vie for the office of president, governor, or senator. At that juncture, you will realize how wrong your decision to stop school halfway is. You see, this is a sensible warning. All right? He should complete his secondary education so that anytime in future he wants to become the president of the country, he will be qualified to run. This is because the minimum academic qualification for being selected or that for being elected, please, into such offices in our country is the senior school certificate. You have driven home the message. And with this, you have wrapped up the body of the letter, and you move on to the concluding paragraph. And you can do it in any simple manner. All you need to do is to bring to a conclusion the message you have started. You can do it in any way, provided that you do it logically and sensibly. Now, let's look at how we do this. There are many other reasons why I believe you must reconsider your decision to stop schooling at this point. However, I believe the above three reasons are sufficient to convince you that you shouldn't take a step further in that direction. You see, it's a conversation you are having with your brother, and this is just a natural way of trying to bring the conversation to a close and trying to convince him finally. Now, let's continue. I know that you've always reposed much confidence in me, and you know full well that I love you and will never advise you wrongly. You see, you are now persuading him to see the reasons why he has to rescind his decision or why he has to reconsider his decision. All right. Now, the final thing you say is, please reconsider your decision in your best interest. You have advised your brother against his decision to stop schooling. And this is what the examiner asked you to do. This is what you have done. You have addressed the subject matter. You have presented the content in the most valuable manner. Now, you can end with some pleasantries once again. I hope to hear from you about rescinding your decision in view of the above reasons. You are making a call to action, which is really important in every piece of writing in every letter, whether it is formal or informal. Once there is an action you want the receiver to take, it's important you make a definite call to action. And this is what you have done here. Then you wrap up by saying, make sure you send me your positive reply as soon as possible. You may go further and say, well, best regards or anything, but you have just done justice to this, and you can equally stop by saying yours sincerely, Ken. Now, again, you can see that there is something that, I want you to look at. You may not have to position your subscription here, okay? You may have to bring it here, all right? This is the traditional way of doing it, and sometimes some of those who mark your scripts may be conservative academics and people who stick to the old methods of doing things. So make sure you satisfy them. Now, you come here, and one of the things you must observe is to make sure you begin with the capital letter Y, yours sincerely. You can see that yours begin with capital letter Y and sincerely begins with small letter S. If you don't observe this, you lose marks. And then after yours sincerely, you follow that with a comma. Then what comes next should be your first name. All right? Now, if your name is Fumi, for example, you write Fumi and put a full stop. Okay, so that is exactly how to write your closing greeting or your subscription if you like. Now, when you watch a replay of this broadcast, you might have to pause the video at any point and watch the steps we have followed, the steps I have showed you. And once you replicate these simple steps, you will score high in your essay writing. Now let's move on to the next one. Of course, let's go back to the question and see what we shall be, the question we shall be answering. And that's question number 2. Write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper on the topic, the importance of promoting good reading habits. All right? Yeah, so that is exactly what you are asked to write. So let me show you a sample. You might write the benefits of the reading culture in schools, or the importance of, let's look at the exact words used there so that we use the exact words. The importance of promoting good reading habits in students. Let's use the exact words. So here we might rewrite this, okay? And so make sure if you are using the total capitalization method, you write everything in capital letters. So the importance of now, I just want to give you a clue as to what to do. Just use the exact. You can use the exact words there if you are more comfortable with that. The importance of the reading culture in students, or encouraging the importance of encouraging the habits of the reading habits in students. All right, so that is exactly what should be your topic. All right. Okay, so I remember I wrote this precisely in response to a similar question, all right, which specifically asks to discuss the benefits of the reading culture in schools. So once you look at the specific words you have been asked to discuss, you use them as your headline. Now, one thing about article writing is that you need to start with a catchy title, which means an attention-grabbing headline. Very important, because this is the journalistic piece of writing. And when a journalist writes in the news, in the print media, one of the things that helps them to sell their newspapers is the headline. And of course, that's why the news headline is what is being discussed even on the electronic media, on radio, on television. People may not bother themselves with the article itself, but the headline is very, very important. So you need to give it prominence. Now, having said that, let's now look at, you know, the how to write. Now, again, let me take you back to the question and remind you that you have to write the outline. The importance of promoting good reading habits. This is exactly how your the topic, because you are actually told that this is the topic. You are to write an article on the topic. So don't change the topic. Ignore the other topic I've written in that sample, because it was primarily, given as a response to a different, a different but a related article writing question. It's the same thing but different wordings. So use the exact words here. The importance of promoting good reading habits in students. Write it in capital letters. That should be your headline. All right. Okay. So, but what we have to do as part of the pre-writing step to take is to jot down the points you are going to write. Now, what are the benefits? Why is it important to promote good reading habits? You can say number one, inculcating or developing good reading habits help a student to become more knowledgeable about their uh, their subjects. That's one reason. All right. You can compare someone who has read a book or a text with someone who has never read it at all. If you haven't read something, you are wallowing in ignorance of that text. But if you have read it, you have gotten some knowledge. So that's one of the benefits. It makes you more knowledgeable. And then there are other benefits. So you write these points down. Point number 2, number 1, number 2, number 3, at least 3 of them. And then your first paragraph will introduce the topic for discussion, as I showed you in the letter writing question. All right. And once you are done with the introductory paragraph, then you begin to pick the points from your outline and discuss them one by one. Now, let's see how we do this. All right, so now remember, it is the exact words in the topic you are giving, the importance of promoting good reading habits. That is what should be here, all right? Then this is your first paragraph. You can start with a quote or some quotes, and this is what we have done here. We call it a hook. The first sentence or a few sentences in your article should be designed to grab the attention of the reader. Now, if someone opens the pages of a newspaper, there are many headlines or topics that are, scrambling for his attention. Why should someone read your own article? You must convince the reader in your first paragraph that this article is very important and an article that one should read. This is why you have to enrich your first paragraph. Now, time will not permit me to discuss a journalistic writing style we call the pyramid, inverted pyramid. You know, how journalists write. You know, the principle is that you have to make the first paragraph, which is the introductory paragraph, more informative, all right? More informative and more profound, because that is exactly what will convince the reader that this article is worth reading. Now, let's see how we do it here. There is more treasure in books than in all the pirates' loot on Treasure Island. So said Walt Disney, a notable scholar. You see, we're opening this with a quote. Very superb way of writing an article. Because, you know, there's something about a quote, especially when it is coming from a notable scholar or a celebrity or an important public figure. You know, people will listen to that. If this kind of person said this, then it must be important. Now, let's continue. Similarly, Napoleon Bonaparte, this is a historical figure of note, all right? Now, similarly, Napoleon Bonaparte, a great French leader, said, everybody we want to listen to a French leader. If a president is saying something, it must be important, all right? Show me a family of readers, and I will show you the people who move the world. You see, you have come up with two sentences, and you have grabbed the attention of the reader. There must be something about reading that I have not really discovered. Let me discover it. So reading is all that important, all right? Now let's continue. Creating a reading culture in schools is no doubt an effective way of encouraging students to become good and motivated readers. A reading culture in schools creates an environment where reading is highly valued, encouraged, and viewed as an enjoyable activity. Although the benefits of such a reading culture are numerous, I will discuss a few of the most important ones. You see, you are now talking about reading, you know, the importance of promoting reading habits. Another word for habit is culture. All right. So you are now talking about habits as culture. A good habit is part of human culture. All right. Something you cultivate. When you cultivate a habit of doing something, it becomes part of your culture. All right. Now, let's now go to the body of the article. And here we pick the first point. We discuss it in paragraph 2. We pick the second point. We discuss it in paragraph 3. We pick the third point. We discuss it in paragraph 4. And probably we wrap everything up in paragraph 5. So let's see how we do it. First of all, you can see again how we begin with something that links what we are saying with the preceding paragraph. First of all means that you earlier said that you are going to discuss a few of the most important ones. So you want to discuss with the first point, and that's why you are saying first of all right? So there is a relationship between what you are saying now and what you said in the previous paragraph. That's how to make your article, you know, interconnected and coherent, all right? First of all, excuse me. First of all, building a strong reading culture exposes students to various sources of knowledge. You can see the first the first aspect of is important, the first benefit, and then you continue. Of course, reading is the key that opens the door and gives one access to new ideas and new pieces of information. You are supporting that first sentence. Let's continue. The more you read, the better you can build up and expand your knowledge. For example, a student who reads various books on a given topic is likely to become more knowledgeable about that topic than someone who doesn't. It's just simple. It may sound simplistic, but that is how to present the facts, all right? These things are known to everyone, but when you present them, then they appear as clear as noonday. And that is how you should write, all right? Then the next paragraph. Another benefit of a creative and exciting reading culture is that it broadens students' imagination and increases their creativity. That's another argument you are coming up with here. All right. Let's just take a short break, and I want to uh, see that the light is restored. We are having a power outage, so just a short break, and I'll be right back. Okay. Now you're welcome back. The light is restored. Sorry for that break in transmission. Let's continue. All right. We stopped. Uh, we stopped at the third paragraph, and so let's, resume that paragraph. Let's go through it again. Uh, Another benefit of a creative and exciting reading culture is that it broadens students' imagination and increases their creativity. Reading, reading enables you to think and use your imagination. So you see, that is the point you have made, that it broadens students' imagination and increases their creativity. And so you want to support this point with a few more sentences, and you are done with that paragraph. All right. First, you come up with a topic sentence, and then you develop it. Now let's look at the next sentence. It helps you to cultivate new ideas and also figure out ways to implement them in real life. In fact, the more you read, the more creative you could be. All right. So you are through with that. Now let's go to the next paragraph. And again, we are using a connective, furthermore. Okay. Furthermore, a good reading culture helps students to become more successful in life, to become more successful. All right. in life and being able to cultivate positive thinking and self-discipline. All right? That's the point you are making here. By reading good books consistently, you can develop the habit of thinking positively. So positive thinking is another benefit that the if you develop the habit of reading good books, then you develop also the ability to think positively. All right? Okay, so let's now read other ideas that are used to support this line of argument. This is because reading stimulates your brain and enables you to think in new ways. Reading helps you to learn new skills, new values, and new ways of doing things. When you cultivate a good reading habit, it helps you to avoid distractions and concentrate on positive activities that will add value to your life. The self-discipline you develop will help you to achieve your goals and become more successful both in your academic career and even after school. So you have actually given enough reasons to back up your claim that it is important to promote good reading habits. All right. So the next paragraph brings the article to a conclusion, and you can use this connective. In conclusion, building an effective reading culture in schools or among students is important for building a strong and viable nation, in view of the fact that good readers today are likely to be good leaders tomorrow. That's a good way of concluding such an article. Now, an article should be written in this way because an article is a piece of writing which discusses a topic or an issue of public interest. All right. So whenever you write an article, you should always discuss ideas that are important to the society. Because don't forget that this article is suitable for publication in a national newspaper. So it's not, it's different from your personal essay, such as how I spent my last holiday. An article is for public consumption, all right? And that is the way to write, okay? Now, having said this, the next thing you need to do is to make sure you write your name and your location, okay? Now, since you are writing an article for publication in a national newspaper, it's important you write your location. So here, you may decide to write uh, Babatunde Taiwo. Okay? Let's assume that you live in Badagry. You could simply write Badagry, and for those who might be reading the newspaper outside Lagos State, then you want to remind them that Badagry is situated in Lagos State, all right? Okay, so that is exactly how to write. Of course, some articles, you know, you might want to write your name as after the title, but if you are writing for an exam, especially at the school certificate level, you can present your name in this manner. So this is exactly where we are going to draw the curtain in today's broadcast. I have actually been able to walk you through this particular uh, process. We began by looking at, you know, the ABC, knowing the steps to take, knowing the structure, and getting started. And we have looked at all of them. And I went further to show you practical examples of how to write uh, an essay, whether it's a letter or an article, in an exam, in an English exam. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Of course, English Classes Online has organized this free masterclass to help those who are going to sit the exam in the near future. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, it is important you do so. And even more important is the fact that you need to click on the bell icon as well, so that whenever a new video goes live on the channel, you will be notified instantly. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you browse through the description section, you will find a number of publications that I have. And one of them is Good Success in English, an ebook, which is a complete study package for effective English learning. So if your aim is to achieve proficiency in the use of English, then you need to grab a copy of that book. There's another one, which is, how to score high in your English exams. If you are preparing for any English exam, that particular ebook will show you how to answer especially the theory questions, because that is where you have the marks. The theory questions in the English language exam, you include essay writing, comprehension, and summary writing. And all these three sections carry very high marks. So that particular book, How to Score High in Your English Exams, will actually give you the tools, and some of the things we have discussed here, you will find them in greater detail in that book, How to Score High in Your English Exams. Then you have another one, which is Good Success English Handbook. It's designed for those who are going to sit their school certificate exams as well in English language, okay? Then you will also find some self-development books, ebooks that you might find helpful. So browse through the description section and click on any of the ebooks that you might be interested in, and you'll be able to grab a copy of the book. So I want to say a goodbye to all of you. As I said earlier, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. If you are going to watch this broadcast as a replay, then you can equally ask questions, because once you type in any comments or questions on the comments box, I will see them and I will respond to them, okay? So I want to say a big thank you to all of you. You are the reason why we do what we do on this channel. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you. I look forward to seeing you in subsequent live streams like this. Goodbye for now and good night.